What's up, PBL people? This is Zach, your coach of the Secret Garden Hoopas, here to commentate on my match against Corey and the Vaporeons. This was a pretty big match for this week because we're both coming in 7-3. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start the battle. So right off the bat, this match is a classic. I prepped for a lot of stuff that he didn't bring. But he does show that he's bringing Fortress, and as always, I expect Fortress lead, so I'm going to throw out Rotom Heat. I know Fortress has Sturdy, so there's not really a point in me overheating. I suppose I could have overheated and then just Volt Switched afterward, but I just wanted to Volt Switch immediately, expecting maybe he would switch. But Corey is pretty determined with his Fortress lead. He normally will just let this thing die in order to just get some hazard up. So he puts up Stealth Rocks. And Lele comes out, but he does not know that Lele is packing Hidden Power Fire. So I'm going to throw that Hidden Power Fire out, and I'm going to take down this Fortress pretty quickly. So as usual, Corey will get his hazards up, but this Fortress will go down immediately. So this does allow him to bring in Snuggles, and with Mimikyu, there's not a whole lot you can do when he gets a free Swords Dance. So I have to switch, which means he's going to get 2 free Swords Dances, but it's okay. I'm going to handle this the best I can. I mean, this is the best answer I've got. So I'm going to just go ahead and get Ferric Oxide to full HP with leftovers, and I'm just going to throw out Gyro Balls. He's going to go ahead and get his second Swords Dance up, but what this is really going to do for me is I'm going to, 1, break his disguise with this Gyro Ball, so as you can see it goes forward and his disguise will pop. 2, I'm going to force him to use a Z move, because if he doesn't use a Z move, Ferric Oxide will survive and kill his Mimikyu. So he has no disguise and no Z move on his Mimikyu. I'm okay with that. It's just something that happens when a Mimikyu comes out on you with a free turn. You're going to get a bunch of Swords Dances up. So I've taken everything I can from this Mimikyu, and he's going to take my Ferric Oxide in return. But I do have answers to this Mimikyu still. It's okay. Ferric Oxide was one of the least important walls I had going. Well, I say that, but I didn't expect him to bring both dragons. So what I really prepped for was Mega Caesar. I wanted to be ready for a Ludicolo. His Meloetta would give my team some problems, so I prepped for the Meloetta, and I prepared to have to face one of the dragons. He brought none of the 3 I mentioned, and he brought both of his dragons, so it was a little unexpected. But anyway, I throw Lopunny out, so I outspeed, and he can't use his priority against me because I'm immune to Shadow Sneak, so that was an easy answer for me. And I'm going to throw out a Return, which you can see does half, so this Vaporeon isn't fully physically defensive. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw out a High Jump Kick. This High Jump Kick actually does crit, but it doesn't matter. You've seen that Return does half, so High Jump Kick would do near 70%. So it's just kind of a useless crit there. So he brings out his Haxorus, which I assume is Scarfed. That's the only reason he'd bring it out on my Lopunny, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and switch into Patata. And he goes for a Poison Jab, so thinking about that, I probably would have lived a Poison Jab from Haxorus. And I probably could have just High Jump Kicked, but I expected him to do something a little more aggressive. I guess he was expecting my Fairy Switch, but I don't want to do that switch. I know that he gets Poison Jab. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. So I'm going to U-turn out. He shows that Free Hugs is Gooey, not Sap Sipper, so I don't expect this to be a Choice Banded set. But I bring out Yuno, and I guess one thing I could have done there is kind of thought more critically. When facing a Goodra, Size Shock is usually the best bet you've got for damage, because Goodra's physical defense is so low. But seeing that it was Gooey and seeing that U-turn did so little means that this Goodra was actually full HP, full physical defense. It very well could have also been Assault Vested, so it wouldn't have mattered regardless of what I went for, but I just went for a Psyshock. And of course, every time Yuno gets hit by a poison move, she gets poisoned. every sludge bomb, every poison jab, every time. So I'm poisoned and I'm whittled down to basically nothing. And he brings out his Haxorus again. So just like before, my answer is going to have to be Gligar. So I'm going to go into Gligar. And we're going to see what he goes for. So Batata's here. Batata is a very important wall for me this week. And he's going to go for a Rock Slide. So it's going to do barely anything to Batata. And I am assuming he is choiced into Rock Slide, so he's going to have to leave. So I'm going to take this turn where he's leaving, and I'm going to Roost. So I think what's coming up is my critical mistake. I think until now I was playing nearly perfect, especially since I had to kind of work my way around playing against a team that I was not completely prepared for. I think this battle happened so late in the week that I forgot that he brings choice specs Zapdos with Hidden Power Ice. So Hidden Power Ice takes down Batata, which is a huge problem for me, actually. So I obviously know he specs because that's the only way Zapdos can one-shot, even with Hidden Power Ice. I suppose maybe Expert Belt, but I don't think that he's running Expert Belt. So I'm going to expect a switch, and I'm going to Will-O-Wisp. The only other two Pokemon he has is Mimikyu and Haxorus, so a Will-O-Wisp is pretty safe for me. He's not going to Hidden Power Ice my Rotom. So I do get the burn on Mimikyu, which is nice. If he wants, he can go ahead and start setting up Swords Dances, but it's kind of useless. So he's going to set up his Swords Dance, and I'm going to Volt Switch out into the same answer I had earlier, which is my Mega Lopunny, who is faster and immune to his priority. So I'm going to go ahead and switch out, and 3Cs will come back on the field. So 3Cs is going to take a little bit of Rocks damage, and Mimikyu is just sitting at barely over half. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit him with a return, which will do enough to KO him. So Mimikyu is gone. Oh, I also prepared a lot for Fagragus, who did not show up. So now this thing comes out, and Choice Specs attack from this. Lopunny doesn't take it very well, and at this point in my mind I'm thinking, okay, he's got two offensive Mons with assumed full speed investment, so outspeeds neither one of them, and she's at such little HP that she can't take a single hit from anything. So I use her as a little bit of like fodder to, one, see what move he picks, two, give myself a free switch. And he brings his Haxorus out, but I realize now that was an issue because it got rid of my last Dragon Resist. So now his Haxorus is free to Outrage. I didn't notice at first, but after looking at it, I do notice now that I'm sitting at 88 out of 157, which is, I think, like 50, like upper 50%. And I have full defense, full HP, and I now realize that the Outrage was a high roll to KO Rotom. I went for a Will-O-Wisp there. If I could have lived in Will-O-Wisp this thing, then it would have been a pretty simple cleanup, but he gets the slightly high roll. I think he had like a little under a 30% chance, but whatever. And I mean, at this point, Sequoia did not have enough power to finish off with a Dragon Pulse, so this Haxorus is just going to go ahead and outrage the rest of my team. So letting Gligar go really allowed this Haxorus to really run rampant, and now he gets confused after the third turn. Maybe I could have gotten super lucky if he got 2 turns, but he didn't. He got 3. So letting that Gligar go was a huge mistake. I should have known when he switched into Zapdos, that means he had intentions that the Zapdos could damage my Gligar, and I just didn't even think about it. So I was like, all right, I could Toxic, I could U-turn, and I really should have realized this is probably the spec set that he's brought before, and if he's bringing it into my Gligar, he's got something for my Gligar, which was HP Ice. So I think I prepped for a team that didn't come, and I made one big mistake in the battle. So that one mistake cost me. what can you do? I'm 7-4. I think I'm still top in my division, and I think this bumps me down to 4th in overall standings. I'd like to get some wins. Double-digit wins at the end of the season would be very nice for me. So I'm really going to try to do very well the last 3 weeks, and I think that starts with me battling Nick. So I hope Nick is prepared. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with a win.